Imagine a plane that was never built for speed, never built for comfort, not even built around an engine. It was built for one single purpose: to see. Three people sitting inside a glass bubble with almost the entire world unfolding beneath them. And this strange little plane was so good at its job, it did something almost no fixed-wing aircraft had ever done before. It went head-to-head with a helicopter and won. But this same plane was later swallowed by a mysterious fire that no one has ever explained. This is the story of a plane the world fell in love with at first sight, and the accident and the mystery that took it away. Welcome back to Lux. We tell the stories of planes that are never just metal and engines. Behind every one of them is a dream, a risk, and sometimes a broken heart. Today's aircraft looks so strange that your first reaction will probably be to laugh. People nicknamed it the Bug Eye because the entire front of the fuselage was one giant glass dome, like the eye of some enormous flying insect. But this almost comical-looking machine was one of the most honest, most fearless designs in the history of aviation. And its story is heartbreaking enough that you'll start to wonder if fate itself never wanted this plane to survive. The beginning, birth of a dream. It's the mid-1970s. Britain has a problem, and it's showing up in police departments, Coast Guard units, pipeline companies, even forestry services. Everyone needs the same thing: a way to watch the ground from the air. Fly slow, stay up for hours, see everything clearly. Helicopters could do it, but helicopters were brutally expensive. Expensive to buy, even more expensive to run, and loud enough to ruin any operation that needed to stay unnoticed. Into that gap stepped a British engineer named John Edgley. His thinking was completely backwards from everyone else's. Most designers start with an engine or a speed target. John Edgley started from the opposite end entirely. His logic was simple. If the entire point of this aircraft is to let people see the ground better than ever before, then build the whole plane around that one idea. Not speed, not comfort, not looks, just the view.
The design. In 1975, a model was built and tested in a wind tunnel. Within a year, construction of the first prototype had begun in London. Edgley's idea was bold, almost childlike in its simplicity. He put the cockpit at the very front of the aircraft, inside a hemispherical perspex bubble. The reasoning was twofold. First, it gave the pilot a field of view close to 360 degrees. Second, it deliberately echoed the shape of a helicopter cockpit, so that pilots used to flying choppers would feel instantly at home. Then he moved the engine, the propeller, and the tail behind the cockpit entirely, connecting everything with a single boom. And instead of a normal exposed propeller, he wrapped it inside a ducted fan, dramatically cutting the noise. The result was strange and somehow beautiful. People said it looked like a child's drawing of an airplane or an enormous flying bug. But the pilots who actually flew it fell in love the moment they took off. The view from the cockpit beat any helicopter on the market. Operating costs were a quarter of a helicopter's, and it could stay airborne for up to 8 hours straight. In December 1979, this aircraft took to the skies for the first time. Its name, the Edgley EA-7 Optica. The rise, when the dream starts coming true. By 1982, institutional investors were putting real money into the project. A full production line went up at Old Sarum Airfield in Wiltshire. Edgley's ambition was huge, a planned production run of over 200 aircraft, each one priced at around $65,000, remarkably cheap for a brand new aircraft at the time. To keep costs down, the landing gear was kept simple and fixed, and the whole airframe was built from durable metal. Within 3 years, the company reached full manufacturing capability. British certification came through. The first customer aircraft was delivered. And then came the biggest win of all. The Hampshire Constabulary's Air Support Unit put the Optica into active police surveillance service. Think about that moment. A dream that started as a sketch on a blank sheet of paper was now flying real police missions over British skies. For John Edgley, it was probably the proudest moment of his career. But fate had something else written for this plane. The tragedy. The May 15, 1985 crash. May 15, 1985. A Hampshire police Optica, registration GKATY, was flying a low-altitude surveillance sortie near the town of Ringwood. On board were two people, a police officer flying as pilot and an aerial photographer. Something went wrong. The aircraft was in a steep, low-level turn. Then it lost control. Both occupants were killed. Investigators spent months examining every part of the wreckage, the engine, the structure, the flight controls. Their conclusion, there was no mechanical or structural failure. The most likely explanation was that the aircraft stalled during the steep, low-altitude turn and control was lost. In plain terms, the Optica itself was not to blame. But by then, the story had already spread across the country. The small aircraft press seized on the crash. What most people remembered wasn't the investigation's conclusion. It was just one line: police plane crashes, 2 dead. The truth never really caught up. Orders dried up. Customers backed away. A company that had only just begun to spread its wings suddenly found a boulder chained to them.
The final blow, the mystery fire. John Edgley and his team weren't ready to give up. They kept fighting, trying to pull the company back on its feet. Then, in 1987, came the darkest chapter of the entire story. Fire broke out at the old Sarum factory. This wasn't an accident, it was arson. Someone had deliberately set the fire. 10 nearly finished Optica aircraft were destroyed. Years of work, millions of dollars of investment, and the bulk of a dream. All gone in a single night. And here's the part that still unsettles people today. To this day, no one knows who started that fire or why. The company never recovered from that blow. An aircraft built for one single purpose, to see, ended up disappearing into the dark, wrapped in a mystery that has never been solved. But whenever this bug-eyed plane shows up at a British airfield, a small crowd of devoted fans rushes over just to catch a glimpse of it. Because the Optica was never just another aircraft. It was an honest engineering answer to a real problem, killed not by bad design, but by bad luck. A crash that wasn't its fault. A fire whose cause remains unknown to this day. When John Edgley first sketched this design on paper, he probably never imagined how much pain his strange, beautiful creation would have to survive. But even today, when a pilot sits inside that glass bubble for the first time and sees the entire world laid out below them, it's clear John Edgley got one thing exactly right. Some dreams never fully die. They just wait for their next chance to fly.